Today we are having our fundamental courses online, and today our topic is about topiary tree. So what is a topiary tree? Basically, the names tell you. We are going to make a tree. So what is the characteristics of a tree? First, usually it's have a primary trunk into a tree, and usually there is a form on top of it. So in terms when we do a topiary tree, usually we emphasize on design elements of a form at the top. It could be multiple forms and also aligned with just a single trunk on your design. And a lot of times when choosing topiary tree, you can think of where we can apply topiary tree. The most typical examples is usually at Christmas time, you will see a topiary tree making like triangular forms on top with a trunk as a Christmas tree. And sometimes when you go to a luxurious store, usually they do have some like plants at the entrance with a very like sphere forms and then single trunks as a plant. This is another type of topiary tree. And today we are going to make a rounded forms topiary tree with the materials that we have on the table. So first we have a very nice classic green color hydrangea and some very spiky purple colored sea holly. Quite interesting texture as a very good contrast of a hydrangeas with the sea holly. And also we have some very purple color lavender. This is the things that I put on one side, which is going to form the materials on your forms on your tree. And then we have sedums and a very nice color carnations and some viburnum berries to be using as the basing for our flower design. And other materials that we have prepared for you is you will find a trunk and also a containers, which we have already put in the flower foams already. Of course, when you at home, remember to soak it in water so that it will help to give you moisture for the flowers that you put in. And also we have, I think it's a 7 cm, a flower foams ball. This is going to be the forms that you're going to make. And I think we also prepare some wire, which is number 26 wire for wiring the hydrangeas. And okay, everything is very important. And we also give you a plastic band and some toothpick and flower tape for you to making the material, which is all the materials that you're going to be using for doing a topiary tree today. Okay, so first, when we do a topiary tree, the first things that we need to start off with is building the tree. So first thing is, this is not a natural tree, so we need to actually put the forms on top of your trunk. You can say you can just slip in the flower foams into the stems, but does it work? Yes, it does, but the point is because of gravity, the ball will keep falling. So we will need to fix it firmly onto the trunk. So how can we do it? Not hard. Easy. First, you will need to have a plastic band. And of course, in your bag of flowers, you will find a tree trunk there. So cut it sharp. And also you will find a very small stick in there. So this is something that you need to take it out. 3 things: plastic band, a small stems, and the trunk, and cut it with a pointed edge. So when you look at your flower foam, so basically you want to stitch your tree trunk almost half of your flower foams. So you place your horizontal stems in there, and then use your plastic band. Okay, you put it onto, just lube it onto the trunk, and then basically you just tighten it. Okay, use the plastic band and tighten it onto the trunk. Here it is. So basically you're like making a cross there. And now, Simple, because you have a very pointed edge. You can just place your flower foams onto it, and that will help you to firm it. And now you can just cut it. So basically, you can firm your flower foams onto your tree trunks and then place it onto your container. And make sure that the flower foams in your containers has been soaked in water, so that when you place your flowers in, that will give you water moisture to the flower materials that you put it onto it. So, and remember, this time, because a tree is it's being viewed by four sides, so we are doing a four-sided arrangements. Okay? And when we are doing a four-sided arrangement, basically the trunk is putting right in the middle of the flower foams. And here it is. We can just place it in. One more thing to remember. The tree trunk is actually a natural materials. It may not be straight, but you can place it in an angle to make it look straight from your container. So look at mine. It's not straight, right? So I'll try to place it onto it and make it look straight. And here it is. Okay, so you have set up your containers. The trees are ready. So, but you need to decorate it with the flower materials. So what are the flower materials that we have to decorate the top of the tree? We have hydrangeas, we have the sea holly, the hydrangea, and also the vendors. So what things do we place first? Okay, let's think. Okay, I'll ask you next time when we meet, what do you place it in first? Okay, think of it. If you place it, this is quite a big flowers, but this is quite flat. So what you can see is actually it will be better once you have the flower foams covered with flowers and place it on top. It's more like laying on your top of the trees. And if you put your hydrangea first, and then afterwards you place your hydrangeas, nothing can be seen. So basically, you will be placing your hydrangea first. And remember, you're not placing the whole hydrangeas onto the foams. So we will need to do a little bit of wirings, and I'm sure everyone knows how to do wirings of the hydrangeas, but I'll do it one more time so that you know how to do it. So you will receive a bag of hydrangeas, the classic green colors hydrangeas. So what you need to do is you put it into a little bunch. And then you try to smoothen it into the same directions and then cut the length that you want. And of course, you also find flower wires in your bag. So you just place it onto it. The areas that your foam is pressing on is your binding point, okay? So if you put your binding point too low, basically your hydrangeas will not be giving a very compacted texture, and you see all the holes onto it, meaning seeing your flower foams when you place it onto your arrangement. So you want to make sure that you have a high binding points so that the hydrangeas looks tight and neat and nice, and then you place your wires on top of it and make a U shape, and then you wire it. So I'm sure everyone knows how to do it, but I just want to make sure that you see it one more time. And when you cut it, make sure your wire is longer than your stems so that it is easier for you to place it onto your foam. Okay, now how are we going to place it onto it? Remember, we have two stem placement, either parallel or a radial. And as you can see, we are doing a radial placement onto your flower foam. So basically, this is like right in the middle of the earth. So you're putting it from the top, the bottom, because once you place your hydrangeas, that will hide your mechanics of placing the horizontal stems. And then top, bottom, the four-sided, left, right, or is it north, west, northeast, north, south, and then east and west. So basically, we'll just place it in. and that will give you an outline already how big your form of the trees will be. So basically you will see that will be the implied lines, the top view and the bottom views, and then you use all your hydrangeas to cover your sphere's flower foam first. So, but no worry that it has not been covered up all your flower foam, because you will still have your hydrangea to add in a contrast of texture onto your flower foams. So after you do all your wirings of your hydrangea and place it onto your flower foams, you will find something looking like this. You will have a very interesting green ball appears, making of hydrangeas. So to make it more interesting, we will add in some contrast of texture with the hydrangea. So how are you going to do it? Because when you receive it, it's a whole stem of hydrangea. So what you can do is, of course, cutting them into an individual stems, and you can place it onto your hydrangea's ball to make it interesting. Of course, you can do it in groupings. Now I have 2 in here, and then I can add some more into here. But be mindful is make sure that it is still within your implied diameters. Okay, so you don't want to place something like this, because that will distort your shape, distort the forms of your arrangement. So you just want to make sure that you keep the fierce forms in your arrangement. So you have quite a bit of them, so you can actually group them, big one and small ones, and add it onto your hydrangea's foam. So I will add a few more. So you can just place it onto it. So just to get a little bit more of the contrast and also some of the colors that are interested onto your flower. Once you add in your hydrangea, you'll see you have another more, it gives more texture and more colors onto your hydrangea flower foams. And now we will actually, you can now place it your vendors as a little hat onto your hydrangea's ball. So how you going to place it in, because it got such a soft stems? Very easy, and I think some of you may know already. We'll make use of your toothpick, so placing it beside your vendors, and then use your flower foam tapes and then tape them together. Make them and other legs covered with flower foams. And few things. You want to make sure that you got an open end so that it will be able to absorb the water. What I mean is, you make sure that you do not cover your flow tapes on the stems of on the openings of your vendor stem, so that it will be able to absorb the water. And then you cut the length that you want. You make sure that your toothpick is longer than the vendor stems, and you can just place it in. You will have a look at your hydrangea balls and see which ones. You can just simply add that in. It looks like a butterfly, like sticking onto your flower, onto your hydrangea's ball. Okay, next, of course, we'll need to cover the mechanics at the bottoms of the bottles of the containers. So what do you have? You will have some sedums, you will have some viburnum berries, and also a very nice diamphysis. So for the diamphysis, basically, you can actually squeeze a little bit of the bulb there, like this, and then push it to make it more open. So just squeeze it here to make it more open, okay? And now you have a bigger diaphysis. So at the bottoms, you have a few things that you can use to cover. You have the sedums, the viburnums. So what I will do is, actually, for the sedums, you can just cut it a little bit short and place it onto your flower foams. So you can use at the bottoms of it, actually, because you don't want a lot of things sticking out to make your bottoms too heavy. You can basically use parallel stem placements to place it onto it. So basically, you can place in the sedums and then the viburnum berries. Okay, make sure that you have tidy tables, even when you're working at home, to keep a good habits. So basically, we'll use these materials, okay, to cover your flower ferns. So you just keep on adding it onto it, and also you'll find a space for putting a little focal at the bottoms of your arrangements, which is the use of the diaphysis. So I may need to cut it a little bit sharper. Okay, and then we'll need to cover the flower ferns with the rest of the flowers. Okay, so at the bottoms, we will place our sedums, our viburnum berries, and of course our diaphysis. That will give a bit more interest to the bottoms of your arrangement as well. So basically the topiary tree is finished, and you will have a very nice arrangements to be placed at home. For topiary tree like this, I think it would be best to be placed on coffee table that can be viewed from all sides. And just to recap how we're going to do this, first make sure that all your flower foam has been soaked in water, including the containers and also your flower foam's fizz ball. And next step is make your trunk with your horizontal stems and the plastic band to make a trunk, and place your flower fizz balls onto it. And the next step is to cover your the flower foam fizz ball with first the hydrangeas, and then to add a bit more of the contrast and interest of texture, you add the hydrangea, and then you add the butterflies, which is the vendors there, and then to fill your bottoms. So basically, bottoms you fill with 3 types of flowers: the sedums, the viburnum berries, and the diaphysis. And now you will have your topiary trees all made up very nicely, and you can place it where you want to place them. And enjoy your flowers.